I'm not a cinephile. I mean, I like movies, sure, and I'll watch anything that's deemed good by the general public. I actually let Rotten Tomatoes dictate what I must put on my watch list. It's peaceful that way, and I like it. You won't find me on Twitter ranting about some polished biopic about a refugee in the 1940s told from a cat's perspective and why he didn't win an Oscar. But anytime I want to impress a few cinephiles, I bring up this quote from Academy Award-winning director Bong Joon-ho during his acceptance speech. The most personal is the most creative. Oh yeah, that'll do it. Not originally his quote, of course, but what Bong Joon-ho was trying to communicate was that in a world full of IP where stories are resuscitated as slop and nostalgia bait, we can always tap into lives and tell the stories from the self. No one can plagiarize what is true to only you. And the best story that you can tell is one that's most dear to you. And this is where Jungle Loco comes in, one of the greatest lyricists this country has ever produced. And that's by any measure or metric. I'm so serious. And Loco, as an artist, can be described as a product of his own environment. In a way, that is a huge part of his allure. Hailing from Masvingo, Zimbabwe's oldest town, Jungle Loco uses the city he comes from in and out. And it's beautiful to witness in musical form. So yes, we are products of our environment. We can change that, of course, but very few in urban music epitomize this better than Loco. From his debut album, House of Hunger, inspired by the late great Dambudzo Marechera's book of the same title, Loco took a Chinua Achebe things fall apart approach in exploring the economic plight of the people around him. Stone City, the second album, was the city's album. You want to know Masvingo or MasVegas, that's the album to play.
Yeah, we fought and victorious, of course, naming Masvingo the great wars caused Victoria falls. When history's taught, hysteria fought, and for the story of the false glory, the falls of our forefathers forced us to fall for. Ndakazoona she all that ndato form 4 ndoya ndakarerwa na Masvingo just in case Mazoga got so much wheat cause I'm Victoria bred. That is just in case Mazoga got so much wheat cause I'm Victoria bred.
Jungle Loco represents something ancient, something beautifully nostalgic and somewhat fleeting whenever you meet him. He's a manifestation of Grootmanism, or rather Dadaism. The cool uncle who drives the kusheshe, the guy who buys the drinks for the whole bar but doesn't tip, the guy with $1 million worth of game to put you on, the biggest bro with the street smarts, the pretty girl and the knowledge. I've spent 6 years of my life in Masvingo, and if you've ever lived there, you cannot avoid the town being part of you. The conduct, the lifestyle, the lingo, everything. Masvingo is just different. The Shona there is different. The people are different. It's why Judah E even had a career at some point. And it's why Loco's type of hip hop sounds different from anything out of anyone who raps in vernacular. Coupled with his own genius and understanding of music theory, you get Gwala Mnandi. I've studied Jungle Loco's music for a while now, and most of my curiosity stemmed from trying to figure out how someone can be so talented in patterning words and saying some of the most outrageous, most witty lines I've ever heard, all in a palatable manner. I mean, listen to the material.
Cause you can't be gods, mchita hard ben nemfenje. I'm from the area tapindira my radio stations toti knock knock. Konzi front door akavarwa, uya knock knock. But bubblegum vanoshipa. Should I go deeper? No, vanozoskipa. Abazwete keep up. Vozovara nekungoti shit. Steeper. So should I do it your way? These are so high, we too short to take them. Mami got a flat tummy, ndabanda stepper. Body rushedze roti 22 December. Tamba mwana tamba, rimbo tamba tamba. urukuramba urukuramba ramba penya kwechisone mwedzi hakafana niko ndizvo ako maziso fananidzo wenyeredzi inyeredzi norova hane chirova dzinyereredzi ndinyerekedze nguva ichifamba asi mira ndimbosimira mudziye moyo wangu pauri wangu moyo muti uyu ndomuti uyu muuyu pakufara musekesa munzara mutondopa hondo ndoko tondo vanda ndondo dzamisa pfungwa uzi.
And that's barely scratching the surface. To be honest, there's a lot from Loco. It feels like they'll be talking about him for years after he finally hangs up the mic. Jungle Loco's writing intrigues me because in his early days, even well into his award-winning album, Batama Streets, I could always predict where the punchline would be. Yes, I'll still be amazed, but the patterning was pretty easy to see. It felt to me like he wrote his punchlines first before the setup and worked his way backwards. And now that's not a bad thing. Everyone has their own thing, but it's also why Gwala Mnandi, Loco's fourth studio album, is so great. It's unpredictable to me. The writing is still pristine and there's still some good Locoisms in there that we all love. The wit, the wordplay and the nonchalant cadence. This time though, complemented by imaginative production and a much more coherent subject matter and themes.
Not only sonically was it coherent, I should add to that. I even feel like as far as running on a particular concept, it was better than Batama Streets. Batama Streets is these catchy joints. For example, Anna Shaker, there was this guy called, Jungle Loco title track. Then Anna Pisha Nana, I was having more fun than I was pa Batama Streets. And sonically, I worked nema producers ndakaona kuti ane sound inono ine painono sangana.
Well said. Think of it this way. Batama Streets is the tomahawk steak. It's famous, it's huge, it feeds many, has a lot of fat, but still really good. Meanwhile, Gwala Mnandi is your wagyu, or more appropriately, sirloin. It's leaner, refined, there's less fat, it's less famous, but no one walks into a restaurant to order sirloin. But it's incredible and good for you.
I think all of my albums have always been conceptual, and they are always triggered, inspired by everything transpiring around me. These are like pages of chapters in my life, With Gwala Mnandi, hustle oriented, you're coming from a phase where you are rather, should I say docile, not docile, but awuzi kunyanya kufunga zvakawanda about tomorrow. You're living in the now. And it's all to do with maturity, I guess, and responsibilities,
Gwala Mnandi, at its core, really, is a hustle album. It's an LP that explores what money is and means to people. Gwala, a colloquial term for money, and Mnandi, an abbreviated adjective for the Ndebele word Gumnandi, meaning it's nice. Jungle Loco, in 12 concise and intentional tracks, expands on how money prompts action and behavior from different people. He touches on how Gwala exists within the plight of a myriad of communities. Those who seek it, those who get it, those who change through it, and those who die in its pursuit. As with most Loco albums, the intros are where you start feasting. And Gwala Mnandi is no different. The intro sets the sonic tone and establishes the setting. It's more of a teaser as Loco establishes his audience and gives the listener an idea of who the album is for. He does this, of course, in classic Loco fashion with trademark wit and charisma.
Hello?
R.I.P. Doja. Yeah. Logadzoga brethren. Logo pazini. Yeah, I got little beats, I got colliders. Should I really kill this beat? Well, I might just. I got introduction. Kangorika nzwisa like. Kangorika yo 1 2 egg drissa mic.
The quest for Gwala is far-reaching, as seen when Loco ropes in Bulawayo's The Dog, who also featured on Batama Street's 14th track, Varura Homwe. The Dog, an amazing artist in his own right, lends his infectious hook-making ability to really deliver Gwala Mnandi's title track, which really does play out as the album's unofficial intro.
Mandi may be loco, sangoro sendiro rangu gosto. Toba na shana skiri de chikoisan patandra bimane kusanganisa. We not waiting for tomorrow. Gotta get the cash el pronto. Hustle up, skiri de chipostman. See what we creating na kunanganisa.
Off the rip, the track gives the listener the album's core themes, money, and in this context, the pursuit of Gwala. With wordplay from The Dog implying money has a neurotic effect on its victims and the lengths one has to go to get it, the artist and the listener's economic plight is set. Gwala Mnandi, the title track, carries on from Batama Street's Varura Homwe, which warned on the hustlers, con men and the ghetto youths who resort to thievery to make ends meet.
Chaka chaya in the city, chili busy chaka ke. Pakisadaro bano staffa. Ukaba ona wata fuda siso. Pana paruda homwe. Paruda homwe. Pana paruda homwe. Ukaba ona wata fuda siso.
This time though, Loco introduces new unconventional means and methods in which Gwala can be pursued and how that is needed for peace of mind.
Ndoshanda ni my instincts, my streets such a whisper. Pani my risks, pani my risks. Taptote yesi patronas, duruba rugudura. Pano shotero wandu pauno nauti nzunga zunisi mvura. Korkoza ruchira stones nezvidodo. Kubudisa matombo makomba dzinodo. Kona chirunyara vanhu shiri zvakabhadhara. Yarovanzara tusangana patara.
The hustle continues on the third track, Daza. Honestly, I want to decipher what Daza means, but there's really no better way to say it. So I'll just say, for non-Shona speakers, it basically means don't look down on me. And that's the refrain of the song. The song is a defiant anthem. It's an ode to the resilient spirit of the Zimbabwean youth, as hilariously put by Loco in lingo you can only hear in Masvingo.
Nation, Mageto youth side equations, Varungo Sukwa, but massive Vachikant, strong in my public toilets, Cherovaga Sukwa, Vangoramba Vachikanta, but one day is one day, Asorisha blower, Bakerisha grower, Pesusa slower, Sweatisha shower, Sustisha koa, still in Goriboan, and
Remember earlier when I said Jungle Loco oozes the aura of a Grootman? Well, the transformation from Jungle Kid, his old moniker, was binned to Loco when he dropped Batama Streets. And on Ishe Komborera, we get the album's commercial break as the artist takes his time to reintroduce himself to the listener. Think of it as Jungle Loco's version of Jay-Z's PSA from the Black Album. It's authoritative, suave, dripping with charisma, and his trademark low-octave voice.
Yeah, Salibonan Majiz, Olazitin Mashiz. Feels good to be back again. You thought I'm quitting and these.
Ishe Komborera, or God Bless, is a beautiful prayer, accompanied by the production of genius protege Hulan Wolf. The message hasn't changed still. Loco wants the Gwala regardless.
Ruda for my sin, Ruda so fluff imagine which kanda my wins, then did you count my wins, Vakuzima motoni paraffin, and I'm ronda simba my fakes. Vanono soka patop fura, so I gotta cover all tricks, satando pa my albums.
The coherence I referenced earlier is visible on Zikamisa, basically meaning move in silence, a stark warning for those who like to show off their Gwala, particularly opportunities that don't call for many chefs in the kitchen. Loco advises one to be opportunistic, which is a clever callback to this bar on the album's title track.
Zvongoda kuonera gepi satirawandirwa yotomumva fast kushandisa rakatowandirwa vakatanga nekuchinja mari yakatovachinja mari vatomberi zvatosvimalirwa houses.
The opening on Zikamisa corroborates my point as heard with Loco rapping.
Yeah, mira utadzungu negwala azvichedu tombodaro unoseva vastreet nengwara azvitombodi naro usanyanya kuda vakasire kuketa savura hapa uchiri pakusweta rolon kusvika zvakunuwirira tozosiya zvichibuda zvabudirira tisati zvatombovaboya.
The character of Jungle Loco is apparent on this record as he gives the listener insight into his psyche regarding what he considers off limits or otherwise. There's no shame in the money that you get from an honest hustle is the message here, and any detractors can go jump off a cliff.
Tosiya vanotaura vataure, tosiya vanotaura vataure, toibata clean money yakasviba mfana mudunwari mira nechapa but zvinhu hazvibude smart and clean kana zvikasakaniswa nechapa.
The pursuit of Gwala is all fair and fine, but it's also good to be wary of what it can bring. Maybe not directly, but the love of money is the root of negative energy. The song My Energies touches on the ugly side of the pursuit for Gwala, particularly how it brings to light the nastiness that humans can harbor, be it envy, gossip, malice that humans tend to exhibit when one is doing well. As stated in the Witches and Wizards Act Chapter 2, I wish you the best, but just not better than me.
Zochokwadi, makamaka ma-facts, ndongochira nema-real ones, ndakamaka ma-facts, murive godo nema-core, yo just waffle. I'm doubting your gender and share before Uncle Waffles.
Jungle Loco would be pleased to know Uncle Waffles looks way different than when this track was made. So there's that. But that's the wit and humor that have always defined Loco's artistry. It's not forced, it's never misplaced, and it makes for an easy listen for what are usually lyrically dense hip-hop albums. Which is why, despite its length, the Kadem, the comic interlude, is a perfect breather. Interludes are usually hard to nail on an album, especially ones with no music. It's hard to strike the balance where you keep the listener engaged while also transitioning into the second part of the album. And Gwala Mnandi nails this, transitioning perfectly into the second half of the LP, with Loco bringing back his band together and leaning into the old reliable. It wouldn't be a Loco album without a love record, as has been law in all of his albums. Sometimes you can't resist being a lover boy, and Loco gets into his romantic bag on Doda.
Kamwana kambama kanoslepa ma-face idama bakari ndonyanzunzwa kuti yes I'm the type of brother ari hard to impress but she looking super fly muka long sleeve dress summertime fine.
A perfectly placed record which doesn't overstay its welcome. 2 short verses, a good hook, and a bridge, bringing back that nostalgic feeling of how love songs used to be written. A good peek into Loco's musical schooling.
You know I need your loving, brother. Special loving, girl. Your body's got me buzzing. Yeah. I wanna check you out to somewhere. And if I check you out to somewhere, cause your body got me going crazy.
As mentioned earlier, one of the best things about this album for me has been its unpredictability, be it the songwriting or the production. And the song Mama Don't Cry, for me, perfectly captures this feeling.
Stuck in the booth, Mama don't cry no more. Chiri muzango kuzama kubatanidza. Stuck in the booth, Mama don't cry no more. Aole chitanjire kutonanganisa. Bora zizoti chionera manjudas. Patebo, Marukas, Musego.
I think I'm pretty on point in saying this is a type of song that Jungle Loco has never made before. So what do you do when you've established your album is conceptual but don't want to keep hammering the same point? How do you avoid sounding monotonous when you're known as the bar-heavy rapping guy? You get out of your comfort zone and you change your delivery. Raise some octaves here, a little autotune there, some double vocal layering there, and a dash of mumbling. Uncharacteristic, sure, but it works.
My head, Janet, Liza Muzwe Mujapet, Sajona Zetimu Rembono, no, Ranje Manje Mujaket, Jange Maguserana, Iowa King, shut up. Local little nigga, just shut up.
And all of this while still preaching the same message from the album's title track up to now. And this is how you make an album. and not a playlist. You get a full picture of what you're listening to is and who is responsible for making it. In the way earlier that I described Jungle Loco as Big Bro or Cool Unc, he does stay consistent to who he is in terms of aura, or for lack of a better term, swag. Jeez, does anyone still say that? I don't know. But the record Flex is exactly that. It's the soundtrack to Cool. The record for those in the know, it plays like a record for the big bro to impress his nephew or little brother. Bless Beats brings a calm and collected feel to the production on this wavy and bouncy record. And Loco obliges bringing the charisma that he always brings on records like this.
Different, my streets are correlate. Change is good as long as it is for the better. Chila zechidara, zikamisa hana. Loco pamitsara, Vegas kumusana wanzwere msoro bangu. The city on my back, kwando diwa zangu. The city got my back, such a provoker. We're more than just vocal, my streets are local.
And it's the same feeling for the song Attitude featuring Cheyenne, a song which builds on what Flex has set up and is best described by what I find as one of Cheyenne's most impressive performances.
Tatongo step up a sin, tanakirwa nezviripo. Got them hitting on the queen, baby wacho anotamba nesipo. My thrills in the air, Brazil in the hair. My hills transparent, my chills negandifare.
Only Mandi or Gwala can offer this level of access, the ability to flex and pack an attitude while at it. Such is the human nature, it's innate. That could be why in the pursuit for personal glory or success, we often joke that life isn't a group project. Do you and I do me is often the refrain we sing to justify our actions, and Loco is no stranger to this notion on the album's penultimate track, Ita Onoita, meaning exactly that, do your own thing.
Usapiwe pressure never now. Satombozi kuvumile kuvexwa never now. Vada kudza how to live your life. Don't believe the lies. Fake alive. Fancy chico night. Don't believe the hype. The
simplicity of the hook is intentional because there's really no fat needed, no extra message needed. The message comes full circle, of course, with a much welcomed beat switch captained by hip-hop legend, outspoken of Dielectric Blue fame. He emphasizes on the solo race run when one is fixated on their goals, the hurdles to skip, and the losses one will incur along the way. Beautiful, somber, and poetic.
You can't see the forest for the tree. If my life should be sweet as honey, I let it be. I stay focused with the hunter's precision. True indeed. And don't know to put chero movimi, and in the end, I can't be loco for being me. And so I proceed. The road ahead is what we don't see. The outspoken keep it low.
Jungle Loco closes out this beautiful body of work on what most of us thrive for, the ability to leave a legacy. What good is money, wealth, or Gwala if you don't get to enjoy it with those that are dear to you? In a way, the album's closer, Letter to Son, is almost an antithesis to the album's overarching theme, but still it complements it. To borrow from the Holy Book in 1 Timothy 6, verse 9 to 10, but they that are rich will fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's the message that Loco wants to relay to his son. A legacy isn't the riches that he can bestow or pass on to his kin, but values that build up a person of good character. It's wholesome and callbacks to some Easter eggs you may have picked up throughout the album. When you hear throughout the album, it makes you wonder if this was a dedication to his son. I don't know. Loco did touch on his transformation and how his message had to change from who he was as Jungle Kid to Jungle Loco when life started piling on with more responsibilities, including being a parent.
Muri boys, mogonongosangana pakona anytime, mogonongoita muruguita anytime, you know. Then there comes a time in which you really have to now define your particular roadmap, and everything has to be orderly. You now have to really have time you sit down wakatarisa paceiling iwewe uronga zvinhu zvako ndoda kudai. Okay, I'm having a family now. The baby's on the way. What's next? hausiri Jungle Kid. Wamdara Loco. Yeah. And with responsibilities, you just have to turn it up a notch and see to it what you've done what you have to do to do what you want to do or to be what you want to be. So Gwala Mnandi, hustle oriented, trying to make it in life.
And as we close this chapter of Jungle Loco with his next album slated to be his last, I can only applaud Gwala Mnandi as an album that is legacy defining, mature in sound and message, and will forever be revisited by those who want to learn from one of the best to ever do it. Tofara mauya mudara loko.
Chibaba just park. Maoko mudenga mashiza kufila manzi. Chingoma heavy. Chabata mapasi. Mayuzo shizia. Tofara mauya mudara loko. Tofara mauya mudara loko. Mudara loko.